Hello and welcome everybody, my name's Chris. Today is going to be a very special day on this here channel as I'm about to review and test not one, but two original Steve Vai Universe models from the 1990s and then compare them. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to the channel. Now, like I said in the beginning, this is a very special video. These guitars have so much legacy attached to them that it is a pure joy for me to have them here with me today in the studio and be able to test them out. These guitars belong to my good buddy Andy, and I just want to shout him out real quick and say thank you for letting me borrow these. This is an amazing experience, so dude, thanks so much. This is awesome. Now real quick an overview and just a couple of key facts about these guitars. The Steve Vai Universe model is obviously a Steve Vai signature model, but what's interesting about it is that it was the first mass-produced 7-string model. In fact, it got so popular later on because of bands like Korn who adapted these models that it was pretty much the reason why the extended range boom happened. They were first produced in 1990 in Japan, and these models that I have here with me are exactly that. They are original Japan-made 1990 Steve Vai Universe models. And I can't stop repeating that because it's just so fucking cool. As you can see, this is obviously based on the ever-popular Ibanez RG model, so there's really nothing special to how this looks in terms of, you know, just the shape. It has a 25.5 inch scale length, 24 frets, and is a bolt-on construction. The woods that were being used for the instruments varied over the years, depending on the series and if you had the premium line or back then the original Japanese one. With this, it's supposed to be basswood. I can't check that, but the internet says so. So this is basswood. Now the most important question though, regardless of specs, is of course how do these instruments actually play? Because in the end, it doesn't matter which wood was being used. If the instrument plays like shit, then you're not gonna pick it up anyway. And the kind of dangerous thing with these legacy instruments is that your expectations are super high. Of course, there's hype around them, and you want them to be this special thing. You want to have that special experience when you pick up an instrument that is 50, 40, whatever years old. You know, from the good old days where everything was better, including the guitars. So how do these feel? Honestly, they feel fucking great. Like, of course they feel like Ibanez. And if you do not like Ibanez, you won't like these, regardless of how well they play. The overall build quality on these is amazing. It's like literally immaculate. These haven't had their frets replaced or anything, neither of the two models. So yeah, it is amazing to see how well they just still feel and play after, what is that now, 35, 36 years. So yeah, it is great what Ibanez did here. The entire thing, or both, have still, everything is stock. These are the original blaze pickups, the original pot caps. You know, you can already kind of see, I don't know if the camera picks this up, but where the green rubbed off and the white shines through. So this is amazing. I like a good case queen, but a guitar with real battle scars, so much cooler. And you're gonna see that on the other model in just a second. As you can see here, this one has a lot more battle scars, and it's just, it is beautiful. It is really, I love that so much. The thing with Ibanez guitars is that they have a very special feel to them. And if you don't like them now, you wouldn't have liked them back then with this kind of model. So if the wizard neck is just too flat for you, you're not gonna enjoy this, regardless of, well, it's a legacy instrument. That being said, if you do like thin Ibanez necks, this is awesome. It really is awesome. And it's so easy to play these guitars. Like, it doesn't take any effort at all. You can just go nuts and shred. And that is super cool. Speaking of shredding though, this bolt-on construction, you know, the classic one, the square-shaped one, if you don't like this in general, then you're not gonna like playing on the guitar in the higher registers. Because of course, it's not as easy to reach higher frets as with a more modern, you know, the shaped ones, which are more round and just allow you to go up here easier. You're gonna get stuck if you're not careful with your thumb. So you have to adjust your playing style. But honestly, if it's good enough for Steve Vai, then obviously it will be good enough for the rest of us, right? So just something to keep in mind. These fabulous looking green pickups are the original Blaze pickups, and yeah, just take a listen. In general, the green and black color scheme on here is just, it's awesome. It's a real eye catcher still. And I seen Andy play this on stage, and it just looks cool. It's just, I'm a fan of this slime green in contrast with the black. So man, looks so good. As for the remaining specs on this guitar, there's obviously a volume and a tone, nothing special here, and a 5-way switch. The tremolo down here is still the original Edge 7 tremolo, so that is super cool. On one of the guitars it actually says licensed by Floyd Rose, on the other it doesn't, but they are both original ones. They do have the stamp in the metal that says Ibanez Edge and made in Japan. So yeah, again, it's just super freaking cool to have this piece of music history right here with me. So how do these actually compare? Well, I mean, they are the same instrument, right? So if you pick one up, take a break, and then pick the other one up, you won't notice too many differences. But if you have them side by side, there are actually some minor differences, with the biggest one of them being the weight. This one is heavier than this one, and I don't know why, because it's the exact same setup. Nothing was changed. Even the trem block is the same, so I don't know. Interesting. There's also the fact that on this model, the neck feels slightly more, I don't know, rougher. This might be because of how long it was played. This might be because maybe the previous owner used to wear a ring and just, you know, scraped along the neck or whatever. But there is certainly a difference here. Setup on these is amazing and, well, exactly the same, because of course they belong to the same guy, and Andy seems to prefer his action low, just like I do mine. So yeah, no real differences here. In terms of sound, I'm going to show you now a couple of back and forth clips, and you decide for yourself which one you think sounds better. Future Editing Chris coming to you with a short intermission. Unfortunately, I realized too late that there was a minor difference in terms of the height of the single coils between the two guitars, which primarily affects the bass response of the pickups. Humbuckers, all good. They were all the same height. Single coils, a tiny bit different. So keep that in mind, and now back to the clips. Alright, I'm going to do a short test now where I use a second tiny microphone down here in order to record the guitar's natural resonances and, you know, sound in the room, so you're able to compare them. So in conclusion, in regards to comparing these two instruments, honestly, I wouldn't know which one to pick if I had to choose. They both feel amazing, and maybe these minor differences that I just talked about, maybe I'm imagining them. I don't know. Maybe my left arm's weaker than my right arm. I'm not sure. Maybe this is just me. Okay, there needs to be something here, because people always say, whoa, back in the day when they had to hand build every guitar, there were of course more, you know, more differences and minor things that happened during production. Maybe it's that, maybe I'm imagining things, maybe these are exactly the same. They are fantastic. So if you look for one, as with every other guitar, it doesn't need to be this legendary instrument. Just try it out, sit down with it, feel it, and then decide. The only, in air quotes, downside for me, and why I would not choose to pick this instrument every time, would be the classic bolt-on construction with the square shape. Again, if you don't like this, you will not like this, but it's not an issue overall. You can still go up here and go crazy. So the final question, of course, now is, are these guitars worth the hype, worth the money, worth your time and effort? Because it's not easy to find them. And if you find them on eBay or wherever, they are expensive. They can cost up to 4 to 5 grand, depending on their condition. And I would say, of course, like with everything else, it depends on what you want and what you can afford and what it is that you're after. If you're a Steve Vai fan, or maybe like a gem collector or whatever, this is of course something that you want to get, because it's just part of his musical history and then guitar history in general. Same goes for the people who are 7-string aficionados and just want to have a part of, you know, 7-string guitar history. Like I said at the beginning, these were the first mass-produced 7-string models. So this is absolutely a very special model. Fans of Ibanez guitars in general will appreciate these as well. If you love the old RGs, you know, the ones that they now re-released in the Genesis series, the 550s, with the bolt-on construction, with the, you know, the square shape that we talked about and all that, of course this is for you. This is something for a collection. Now, who I don't think these guitars are for are modern 7-string and extended range players. And I'm saying modern in air quotes because at some point this used to be modern, right? But extended range guitars or 7-string guitars or whatever have changed so much over the last years, or over the decades really. Of course, there's multi-scale guitars now. Many people do not like their passives anymore. They prefer Fishman pickups with so many different sound options. Floyd Roses, they are being replaced by Evertune bridges, and this is a product of its time. And people look actively for these because there's of course also nostalgia attached to it, right? But in general, I would say if you're not a Steve Vai fan or not an Ibanez collector, but rather someone who just wants to go crazy with a drop E tune, 7-string or whatever, I do not think this would be for you. That being said, if you're a Steve Vai fan, if you just love shreddy music, if you like, you know, old school 7-string models, go crazy and try to find one of these and just sit down with them. I mean, don't buy them if you can't afford them. Like I said, they are super expensive. But, you know, if you know someone who owns this, just ask them to sit down with it, because it's really, really cool. It is something unique. They play fantastic. They are wonderful instruments. And this pretty much concludes my review, test and comparison of 2 original Ibanez Steve Vai Universe models from the 1990s. These are both from 1990, which is the year I was born in, so this makes this extra special. And it was just a fantastic kind of experience. These have to go now back to Andy because he needs them at rehearsal, and I will make sure they get to him safely. Andy, thanks again for, you know, lending me these for a couple of days. This was awesome, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. If you want to support Andy and his old school death metal band, you can check out Cadaver Stench. I played with them before. They are a great bunch of dudes, and, you know, support your local scene and all that. If old school death metal is your thing, you go there. If you enjoyed my playing in particular, you can check out my melodic death metal band, which is called the Pine Tree Tapes. I would be thankful for that as well. Also, if you enjoyed this particular video about Steve Vai Ibanez Universe models, you might want to come back in a couple of weeks. There might be something on here I don't know yet. With that being said, I'm Chris, and that's that.